Welcome back to Alcohol and Anime Night for another unboxing, this time with the S.H.Figurarts Power from Chainsaw Man. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. And if you remember, this figure I picked up during Anime Expo, and I paid way too much for my price range for a 1/12 figure, but when in Rome, as they say, do as the Romans do. And I'm excited to open this up here. This is my first of the Tamashii Nation's Bandai style figures. These are these high-end imports. And so I'm excited to see what all the fuss is about and hopefully not unlock a new expensive addition to my collecting. Now this is my first S.H.Figurarts figure, and right away I'm digging the box art. I love that the instructions are actually part of the inside flaps of the box. So if you ever buy one secondhand in the box, you'll already have the instructions. It's kind of a small thing, but it's nice. As always, we want to start out with the PP Touch, which is, if you're not familiar, get your mind out of the gutter, it is P for paint, P for pose, and touch. How does it feel in hand? How does it feel to play with or handle, I guess? So first off is the paintwork, and this is no doubt, I don't imagine there's a possible way to do it any better than they have done it. The paintwork on the eyes, the mouth, the tiny, tiny little teeth that are in there, everything is hit. There is so much paintwork on this and so much color on what should be a fairly drab character. There's gradient in the hair, there's gradient everywhere. Even the shirt has different tones to it. It's not just white. The shoes, it's all there. So I don't imagine you could do it any better than they have done it. So that's just about perfect on the paint. So pose. Of course, it's an action figure. You can put it into just about any pose you want, which is great. But here's where it's great, is that there's so many points of articulation. It's almost impossible to cover them all here in a shorter video. But the things like the hair being articulated so you can have it swooping out is something you don't get on every single character. And that means you can get her into just about any pose from the manga, from the anime that you want. And she can pretty much nail it. Along with the pose, that means we have several different options that she comes with. She has a normal neutral face, a big smile face, a yelling face, kind of a worried face, and then maybe a scared or a sad face. My only gripe here is that they perhaps should have swapped one of the other ones out for the glasses face when she's trying to be smart power. I think that would have been pretty fun to have the red glasses. That's a kind of an iconic part of the story. She also comes with several pairs of hands. She has some fists, some grabby hands to hold her weapons, some open hands, some hands that are a little bit more splayed out, some grr I'm gonna get you hands, and then of course some peace signs. Now again, another just, I don't say a gripe, but just a suggestion. I think it would have been good to have some type of blood effect that could maybe plug in behind the hands at her wrists, because when she activates her blood powers, very often that it comes out of like where her arms are, and that's how her blood power kind of turns into the weapons and everything. So that would have been neat to be able to do that. The big hammer that she comes with seems really fragile when you pick it up. It does not, it feels like it's made out of tissue paper when you pick it up. But I totally get why they did that, because if they made it solid, she'd never be able to hold it in any kind of pose without some kind of stand. So as it is, if you're careful and you balance it, you can actually have the hammer above her head and she can be holding it and it won't knock her over. And the paintwork on the hammer is really good. It's got kind of a glossy red with even some dark spots in it, so you really believe that it's made of blood, and it fits her perfectly. That is almost certainly the accessory that most people are going to be displaying it with. She does of course come with a kind of normal hammer and some machetes, as well as her pussy, Cat, Meowie. Now her iconic off-the-shoulder jacket is super annoying. It is articulated so that way it can move out of the way and everything, and I know what they were going for. They were going with this screen accuracy and this animation accuracy, so it's not their fault. But I will say, it just isn't awesome when you're trying to pose her with this jacket in the way. There are some parts where it does rotate to get out of the way, and so you can get her in just about any pose, but it just adds that, they had to add an extra point of articulation just to account for this off-the-shoulder jacket. So without doing soft goods, it's just really the only way you could do it. It is absolutely not their fault. They did the absolute best they could do. It's just annoying. There's just so much detail in such a tiny figure. Now, this is apparently 1/12 scale. And so here she is next to Sergeant Slaughter from G.I. Joe Classified. And to be fair, he is a big adult American next to a petite Asian, maybe teenager. So here she is next to Chun-Li, and that looks about right. Now, I may be nitpicking on some of these accessories that I wish were included, but remember, this is not a $24 G.I. Joe Classified or a Jada Street Fighter figure, and this is expensive. It is retail right now. If you want one new, you're going to pay nearest makes no difference to $130. Now, I want you to know I did not pay $130 for Power, but I paid a lot. More than I've paid for any action figure ever. But I really wanted this figure. And so if you are a fan of Power, of course you're going to get the best version of her. There's several different versions of her out there, but this one's pretty damn good. Now let's talk value. Now this is an import figure, and it is also from like a specialized product. It's not something as popular as, say, G.I. Joe, so it's gonna cost a little bit more. But how much is too much? Now let's talk examples and comparisons. Here is a figure from Jazzwares. That is a 1/12 Chainsaw Man figure that has swappable faces, swappable hands, additional weapons, and accessories. Retail price, $20. I got this for $12.99 at Ross. Is this character $100 better than this one? That's the real question. Now, to be fair, Jazzwares did not make a Power. Maybe they plan to someday, but they didn't yet. So if you want a Power in that scale, that's what you're going to have to get. And I haven't opened that yet. It could be absolute garbage, but I doubt that it's 80% worse than this. Something to think about. And yes, I will open that up and we'll compare the two and we'll see if I should be crying into my pillow. But nonetheless, like I said, Jazzwares did not make a Power, so we actually don't have one kind of to compare from their line. But we will compare Aki, of course. So lastly, let's talk about the touch. How does she feel in your hand? She feels great. All the parts feel premium. They don't feel like they're going to break off. Everything that's supposed to move moves just enough, like the jacket and the hair moves out of the way. Everything that's supposed to be solid is solid. The hands come on and off pretty easily. The faces come on and off pretty easily. It's all doing exactly what it's meant to do. The question is, do you like this character enough to spend that $120, perhaps $130 to find one? Only you can answer that. But I will tell you, from my perspective, I really like this. I'm going to be very careful with it. I can't wait to display this one, and I think I'm going to hold on to it for a long time. However, if Jazzwares comes out with a Power, you better believe I'll pick one up for $20. Now this might be the only S.H.Figurarts figure I ever get, so I'm okay with spending the amount of money. However, there is a Bomb Devil pre-order that is out, and she's only $84. Until next time, my name was Scott. This is Power. I feel like you should get one and make terrible financial decisions. Until next time, Kanpai.